Well, I believe this is my first live YouTube. All of the others are videos that have been recorded. So this is going to keep this one kind of short because it's my first live feed. No idea if I'll have live viewers or not, but as the title suggests, it's pretty self-explanatory. My bait and switch MLM experience. I was 22 years old, pretty young, naive, not a lot of adult experiences, let alone experiences in this type of thing. But I was responding to a newspaper ad. I was jobless. I was looking for a job. And in the classifieds, this is in the year 2000. So quite a long time ago. It's 2021 right now. So this was 21 years ago. Wow. So the internet wasn't really being used heavily yet, especially for this type of thing. So I was going through the newspaper clippings, responding to a job ad, something along the lines of looking for assistance managing a gym. I'm like, okay, I'll try that out. Different industry. I'm kind of mildly into health and fitness and stuff. So I show up and I'm in this office space and there's a bunch of other people there. We've all got resumes. I've got a resume. We probably responded to the same ad or a similar ad. So we're at this place and it was really weird. There's this loud music playing. People are excited for no apparent reason. And then eventually there's a guest speaker that's going to speak to us. I'm like, well, this is kind of weird. I've never been to a job interview like this before. So we're all sitting down in chairs lined up, and there's a big whiteboard in front. And the speaker, it was something like this. And this is not an exaggeration at all, but the entire talk was something like this. Hi, I'm so excited. I'm going to draw circles and dollar signs and things that look like this. And I'm just so excited. I have no idea why I accept dollar signs. So glad you're here. You're going to love this, life changing. Oh my God. The whole thing was like that. Everybody, myself included, was in our seats like, because I was so young and inexperienced, there was a lot of naivete on my part and probably other people too. I don't know. But at the end of the thing, I'm like, okay, sign me up. I recognized that it wasn't at all what the posting in the newspaper said it was. But back then, in my young, naive brain, it was okay, I guess. It's like, I'm going to give this a shot because the promise of financial freedom and doing what I want with my time and all these things was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I have no idea what the hell I just watched and listened to for the last, I don't remember how long it was, 40 minutes, whatever it was. But it sounds really good. So I just got redirected in a totally different way. But little did I know, I was totally being bait and switched. It was an MLM company. I'm not categorically against MLM, but back then I never heard of MLM. I didn't know what it was. In fact, I didn't know what it was until sometime after that. I don't know, a year or two or three or four. I don't know, but sometime after that event, the word MLM finally came up for the first time in my life. And then I remember reflecting back on that experience. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what that was. That was an MLM. A lot of people call it pyramid schemes, Ponzi schemes, things like that. So I signed up for the deal on the spot, and then they said, okay, to get the training so you can start making some money, you got to come back. And it's only going to be $7. I'm like, well, that's weird. They're going to charge me for the training, but it's only $7. And it sounds really exciting in dollar signs and circles. So I spent the $7, came back. And it was another talk that was pretty much the same thing, just a different variation of it and all the same weirdness. And then at the end of that one, this should, even in my experienced brain, in my opinion, looking back, this should have been like the ultimate red flag at this point that I need to get out of that thing. But no, I didn't, because they said you got to come to the next meeting. It's going to be $10. I'm like, well, that's weird. You just had me spend 7 on this one. I thought I was going to get the real deal to teach me how to make money, but I got to go to this next one that's a little bit more, and then I'm going to get the real deal. So they were monetizing me up. First one was nothing, to get us there. Then $7. Now this next one, 10. Okay, why not? $10. Only 10 more dollars. So I show up for the next one, spend $10. Same kind of talk, just a different speaker done with a different twist or whatever. And then at the end of this one, we're like, okay, now to get the real goods, you got to go to the company event that's taking place in Chicago next week or whatever. And that was a couple $100 or so to attend. And at this point, I'm really thinking about I'm still thinking about looking back. I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you, Tom? But I'm like, all right, sure. I don't have a lot of money, so I really need to make money. And I'm kind of invested in this now emotionally. So, okay, I'll fork over 200 bucks of money that I don't really have a lot to spare at that time. So I did. And I went to that. It was like a weekend thing, a couple days long or whatever. And I'm like, okay, for sure, they're going to give us training in this one. And nope, they didn't. There was no product information, just I'll call it empty positivity or toxic positivity. It was completely empty, vapid. It was stupid. But at the end of that one, they weren't done. Now you got to go to like the annual company shindig, which is taking place in Reno, Nevada. So airfare, hotel stay, obviously hundreds and hundreds of dollars at this point. And then the ticket price for the event, which was, I don't remember what it was, but somewhere in the hundreds as well. And you got to buy their, they called it a bib, business in a box. That was $2,000. So altogether, this thing was probably going to be like $3,000 or $4,000 for this next step up from the $7, $10, a couple $100. Now a few $1,000s. This is where I drew the line. It's like, no, I'm sorry, but I I didn't quit the or get out of the company yet. I'm like, I'm gonna try this. I'll just do it. I'll try to figure out how I'm gonna sell the damn thing. I need to make some money, and once I do, maybe I'll go to the big event then. And they made me feel very weird for not, because they asked me and I said no, I just can't. I need to make some money first. And they're like, oh Tom, you're letting us down. You're letting us down, man. Yeah, I bet I let them down. They weren't able to get any more of my money. So I tried selling it. My mom is the only person that bought anything. God bless my mom. I miss her. She bought the laundry detergent, and I'm like, okay, if this stuff is any good, like they say it's like the best stuff in the world, then obviously she's gonna buy more, right? She didn't. I didn't ask her to. It was like I was not gonna do that to my mom. If it was any good, she would have bought more. It would have been cool, but she did not because the product was crap. And at that point, that's where I drew the line. It's like, all right, I'm obviously not going to make any money. I might get lucky and sell this to one other person, probably a family member, a friend, who knows. But even if I sold one once in a while to somebody, if it's not any good, they're not going to reorder. I'll never make any money. This certainly isn't going to set me free. I'll never get my investment back. This is stupid. So that's when I just decided I got to cut my losses. As emotionally invested in it as I was, and that was a tough pill to swallow because the promise of financial freedom and this and that, it's like, it's not here. This is kind of a scam. So that's when I officially quit, got out of it. And a couple of years later or so, I get a letter from the IRS stating that this company, it was called Trek Alliance. They were TREKALLIANCE, if anybody wants to look it up. Maybe I'll do a Google search for it. Look at its past because it has been gone for many years now. But they were shut down forcibly for deceptive marketing practices. I read that. I'm like, oh, that's an understatement. They just flat out lied. It was just lies, you know? So they were liquidated, and they actually, through the liquidation, the IRS gave me some of my money back. I didn't recover all of it, but it was a good portion of it. And they probably did that for all of the other distributors too. And at this point, I had already been out of it for a couple of years. So that was incredible. That's like the only cool thing the IRS had ever done, was to shut down a deceptive, immoral MLM for fraudulent marketing practices, and then liquidated that company and sent all of that money out to its former distributors, which I was the beneficiary of that. I was still at a negative loss, but not as much of a negative loss. So for one time in my life, I never thought I'd say this, but go IRS. I'm not sure I'll ever say that again, but at least there's one instance of that, which is a neat story in and of itself. So looking back on that experience, it's a great story to share. I don't tell that story very often. It just doesn't come up. But I've been sort of going down a rabbit hole of MLM reviews, and it's like it just triggered in my mind. I could do some reviews. I've got some experience in them. Two of them. That was the first one I shared with you. I got into a second one 8 years later when I was 30. This would be the year 2007. And that one was the complete opposite experience. It was, and also I went into that one older, wiser, experienced, and so forth. Red flags, I knew what to look for. And so the second one was a completely different experience. I got into the second one 14 years ago in 2007 when I was 30, and I'm still in that one 14 years later. Who knew? Who knew? That one was completely congruent with everything that they said. And also, one thing worth mentioning, the first one, the one that was a bait and switch, that was a flat out cult. So that's basically what I was describing there. Loud music, people excited, they have no idea why, and the uh, decorum of the presentation and how they monetized upward and looked at me weird and gaslit me when I didn't do the final thing that was like thousands of dollars. All of so much of that is cultist like. And then the second one I got into so many years later, there was no elements of that kind of behavior. In fact, that was one of the main reasons I got into the second one. I was looking for cults and I was expecting it, right? I'd never thought I would sign up for it, but I was really impressed that there was no cultist like stuff happening. And there were other reasons I got into that one too. And I'm glad I did. 14 years later, I'm still in that one. But man, that first one, wow. And I needed that experience. I would not trade that experience of the bait and switch MLM experience for the world, because I was so young and naive at the time and inexperienced. And that gave me a very valuable experience that I learned a lot from, you know? So sometimes we need those kinds of experiences where we can come away from it and learn something valuable that can serve us going into the future as we create our lives, right? So drop your comment with any experiences that you have, good, bad, ugly, anything at all with MLMs, and or just comment on what you've heard about this one. And that's all I've got for you. So have a beautiful day, everybody. My first live feed on YouTube. We'll see how this goes. I think I've had like one viewer so far. We'll see if that gets better with future ones. Bye for now. Now I got to figure out how to turn the thing off. I have no idea. This is hilarious. Share, mute, save. I'm not even going to edit this once I figure it out. There's not a lot of options on this thing. Do I tap live? Nope, that didn't do it. This is hilarious. The three dots. Nope, that's not it. Hi, Colleen. Very happy you're here. I'm at the end. I just finished this live feed and I'm trying to figure out how to close it. I have no idea. This is really weird. It's not like Facebook at all. When I do figure it out, I'm not editing this to take it off because I think this is kind of funny. Do I hit the X maybe? Ah, that's what it is. I hit the X. Well, that's not very whoops. Cancel. Just in case that didn't record. Okay, so it's the X in the upper right corner right there. That's not self-explanatory at all. There should be a label or a button that says stop or pause or end live feed or something, but it's the X. I looked at that first. I'm like, that would just close it all out and cancel it all together, wouldn't it? But no, when I tap the X, it gave me the choice of ending the live feed. So now that I know how to do that, I will do that right now. And again, make it a beautiful day, friends. Oh, if you want to check out my website, tomberkenmeyer.com, I should plug that in. Should have done that earlier. See, not very professional or prepared over here. tomberkenmeyer.com, just like it's spelled here on social media. Bye for now.